the hyphen and the dash. Such simple looking little punctuation marks, but with such complicated usages, well, I don't know. You'll have to decide that for yourself. Today, we'll be taking a look at how to correctly use the hyphen and the dash. What, no dash on your computer keyboard? Stick around. I'll be showing you just where it's hiding. If you haven't already, while the little song is playing, why not click below to subscribe and click again on the notification bell so that you will know whenever I post new lessons to never stop learning. Compound words are often hyphenated. And here's a couple of examples: well-being and follow-through. These hyphenated words have a meaning all their own and usually do show up in the dictionary as a hyphenated word. Now, over time, what tends to happen is that hyphenated words lose their hyphens and simply become compound words. These are just a couple of examples of words that have really lost their hyphen and come into common use as a non-hyphenated compound word. Now, I know that you've probably seen these terms hyphenated before, but in reality, you're not supposed to use a hyphen with an ly when it's followed either by a participle or by another adjective. And here's another usage peculiarity that you need to be aware of. You would use a hyphenated word here, pet friendly, if the word is coming in the sentence before the noun that it describes. They went to a pet friendly store. But if you're going to say something about a store being pet friendly and the pet friendly part comes after the noun, the words are not hyphenated. We just write out the store is pet friendly without using a hyphen. Hyphens can also be used with suspended modifiers. This sentence says, let's take a 5 or 10-minute break. Well, the modifier here is suspended or broken up by the word or. It could be the word to or some other word. But because we are using a hyphen between 10 and minute, we would also use a hyphen between 5 and minute. It's just that that's broken up or suspended by the word or. We're going to transition between looking at hyphens and looking at dashes with looking at this little thing called an en dash. You're never going to have to know that term, but full disclosure, I wanted you to know it's out there. It's actually called this because it's supposed to be made about the width of a capital N, and that's why it's called an en dash. It's used when the modifier is a multi-word modifier, post World War II. You wouldn't put a hyphen between each one of these terms, you just put it right here between post World War II. And if this gets you a little worried, you can always just say economics after World War II and get rid of the en dash altogether. Now let's move on to the dash. The dash's technical name is an em dash, and it's named that because it's supposed to be made about as wide as a capital M. But we're just going to call it a dash. A dash is completely different from a hyphen. It's used to separate, to emphasize. It's used sort of like parentheses, but if you use dashes around a parenthetical instead of parentheses, there's a little bit different meaning that's indicated. Let me show you. Let me show you what I mean by using dashes instead of parentheses to show emphasis. The first sentence uses parentheses around what we call a parenthetical, which is an extra phrase that's added into a sentence, not grammatically necessary. But here in this first one, it says, he loves his brother, his older brother, very much. And when you use parentheses, it's just meant to give the reader a little bit more information. He could have just written, he loves his brother very much. You wouldn't have known there was another brother. But it would be grammatically just fine to do that. Now, choosing to use dashes instead of parentheses changes the meaning of the sentence because what it's going to do is emphasize those words that are in the parenthetical. Let me show you. He loves his brother, his older brother, very much. Now that's a little bit different from the meaning indicated by the first sentence. Maybe he doesn't have so much love for his younger brother. When you choose to use dashes instead of parentheses, it's going to change the emphasis on that parenthetical information. Dash is also used when the writer wants to add some surprising or amplifying, clarifying information to a sentence. Let's take a look at this sentence. Their dog was well known in the neighborhood for barking. Didn't see that one coming, did you? Dashes can also be used to set off characters' thoughts in a fictional narrative. Here's an example from the book A Wrinkle in Time. She left her little room and made her way through the shadows of the main attic, bumping against the ping pong table. Now I'll have a bruise on my hip on top of everything else, she thought. So the dashes indicate a change in the point of view from which the story is being told. It's being told in third person from a regular narrator, not the character, in the beginning of this paragraph, but the dash indicates a shift to the first person thoughts of an actual character in the story. Okay, so let's review what we've learned. First, hyphens. Hyphens are used to join words into compound words and make a new compound word that has a unique meaning. Often those words are found in the dictionary. Hyphens are used between number words for 25 through 99. You don't really have to use the hyphens for 21, 22, 23, and 24. And hyphens are also used to make compound modifiers that come before nouns in a sentence. If that modifier with those two words is coming after the noun, you're going to separate them and not hyphenate them. Dashes, on the other hand, separate. They cause pauses in your sentence. They're stronger than commas, but not quite as strong of a pause as a semicolon or a period. Dashes draw attention to text, especially in parentheticals. They signal a change. Maybe it's a surprise, maybe it's a clarification. And dashes can also signify an interruption, maybe in a thought, maybe in point of view, like we looked at in the Wrinkle in Time example. Now, what do hyphens and dashes have in common? Well, I put this whole idea of an en dash here in the middle of our Venn diagram because you make it the same way as you would make a hyphen, but it is used for multi-word elements where you're not going to put a hyphen between each one of the words in the modifier, just between the first word and the beginning of the second part of the modifier, like post-World War II economics. And here's what you've been waiting for. You use the same key on the keyboard to make the hyphen. You strike it once for a hyphen and you strike it twice for a dash. Now it will look a little bit broken up, but as soon as you type in the next word and hit the space bar, it'll join those two hyphens into a dash automatically for you. I hope this lesson has been useful to you in helping you sort out how to use a hyphen, how to use a dash, and how to make those characters on the computer keyboard. If you have any other questions about hyphen or dash usage, please put them in the comments below and I'll respond back to you because I want you to never stop learning.